Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Climbing Sycamores podcast, where we look at today's topics to get a better view of Christianity. I'm Annie Beege, and I'm joined by my friends Ben Sadler and Matt Harbach.
All right, Yellow, welcome back.
Hi. Lots of vacations.
Oh, yeah.
Ben, where are you going next week?
Next week, we've been doing this for I think it's 30, 40 years. We're going St. Germain, Wisconsin. We rent a bunch of cabins. 50 family members are all there. And we are still getting along. But it is in cabins, and ours has air conditioning.
Oh,
you, on the other hand,
nice.
Let's hear it.
I don't want to talk about it. I mean, I do want to talk about it. I have a gripe. Tent camping. I hate it. I'm stiff. I'm sore. I ended up sleeping in the car. It was cold. My air mattress deflated.
Yep.
I had to get up in the middle of the night and go to the bathroom, and I was fumbling around in the dark with a zipper and getting caught, and I had to walk a block to the bathroom.
Like sticks and rocks,
terrible.
trying to get over
almost
there.
like dodging the fire pit, and it was just terrible.
And you were at a campground.
Yes, and it's a very nice campground. We were with our family. We got about 30 people.
And they have electrical outlets for you to use.
They do, but we didn't use them. So, we were literally, I don't know. It's so primitive. And I'm like, I have a mortgage. I have a house.
Yeah.
Why am I going to sleep in a tent? I never again. I'm not doing it.
Think about it like this. Like in the Bible, even Jesus, they encourage things like fasting. Mm-hmm. And so camping is like modern day fasting.
Okay. And that did occur to me, not the fasting per se, but I thought, well, maybe this is a good opportunity to really, be grateful for the house that I have.
But instead of praying, you just got furious and yelled at people.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. So.
Were you able to hold it together while you were there? Or did you go
everybody knew. Everybody knew. But and here's the thing too.
If Annie's miserable, we're all gonna.
Oh no, it was.
You just go off by yourself. Like
sometimes.
You just take your lawn chair and put it on the edge.
No.
Stupid kid.
I entertain everyone with my antics.
Oh, that's funny.
But and the thing is too is that we don't go that often. We go once a year, usually for just a couple days. So it's not really worth buying any nice, super nice stuff because we're really just not. We have a nice tent, a big tent, but. Other than that, it's just not worth buying all the extra stuff.
Tent that's missing a couple stakes. It's got a hole in the.
No, we have a nice tent at least. So, anyway, rant over.
We did not do camping this year. I usually I'll take Jonah and do that, but every time Emily comes camping, it rains, and she's like, "Nope, I'm not doing this. I hate it. I'm not going to be out in this rain. The tent's going to leak or something's going to happen." And.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last year we went camping over a weekend. It rained 4 times in 3 days.
Oh, terrible.
And it was not there's a drizzle or a mist. It was it was raining. All
right. Well, enough of that. Get back to our modern world. I wanted to discuss a little bit an article from Mockingbird. I think I've talked about this website before. They look at all the different aspects of culture and where they can find grace and its absence and how that kind of affects the world. And when you see surprising acts of grace and how people are changed because of it. And so there was an article written by David Clay called "When the Computers Take Our Jobs, Who Will We Be?" And this is all kind of based on the AI technology that's just kind of booming right now. I don't know about you, but when I first tried ChatGPT, it was cool, and then I was terrified. Any kind of content creating that I do is obsolete. Why would I write a sermon anymore? Why would I write Bible study anymore? This could write it better if I just gave it the right prompts. Did you have that experience, or you didn't really care? Or
I think it can be useful, and it is almost we have to learn how to input the what we need. Mm-hmm. So there's I think the art is going to be more so about how you tell it to do stuff.
Sure.
I don't think we're there quite yet with what you're saying. We're well, if this could just do it better, but we might end up there.
Right now, I'm using it for research. If I have, or if I want to pick a better title for an article I'm writing or something like that, I'll just put the whole article in ChatGPT and say, write a good title, and it'll spit out 10 different titles. And so I use it as a little tool, but I don't know. At first it freaked me out, but this article kind of talks about some of those things. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but it says, it's reasonable to think that over the next decades, ever-increasing automation will leave a lot of information workers like myself staring down and without a job. Besides the obvious economic anxiety, the prospect of being replaced by computers also raises something more existential. If I'm not productive, then what exactly am I worth? The familiar mantra that your work is not your identity, which comes in both religious and secular flavors, could potentially be helpful here, but only if we can go on to answer the question of what human identity actually is. A specifically Christian answer probably begins with Genesis 1, which famously declares that God made humans in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. But things get a bit tricky here. In the ancient Near East context, images of God was a title taken by kings claiming to act as the representatives of God. To say that humanity is made in the image of God is to say that human beings in general, not just the elites, act on God's behalf. This is borne out in the immediate, here we go, context of, my paper is printed over end, and so I have to flip it all over the place, of Genesis 1:27, which connects the image of God with God's mandate for the human race to have dominion over the earth by cultivating and improving it. So human identity has something to do with being made in God's image, which in turn has something to do with work, which means that the biblical text here doesn't do a whole lot to relieve our anxieties. God created us to tend the garden, so to speak. But what if the robots can do a better, if not a more cost-efficient job of it? What would help us here is the doctrine of the Trinity. While Genesis 1 does not refer unambiguously to the Trinity, Christians know that the God in whose image we are made is the triune God. God necessarily exists as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit before all worlds. Self-giving love is foundational to the reality and would exist even if the created universe did not. Creation is contingent. Love is necessary. And then he goes on to explain, so what makes us who we are is the capacity for love. And so that's kind of a cool thing. I'm just going to read one more line here. It says, what's at stake here is not our identity if love is our central identity. So, the idea that we are not just, if we're made in God's image, it's not just that we can cultivate the garden and do good work. That's not what makes us kind of reflect God. Our ability to love, as the triune God has always loved, to love and be loved, that's what really is our identity. So, yeah.
It's about people.
It is. And so maybe that's where, it says, if the true locus of human identity is giving ourselves to others, and even more importantly, in being the objects of divine love, then any occupational disruption will only reveal what has always been true. So, we should work and we should find joy in doing something for a purpose, but really our capacity to love and be loved is really what's at stake. That's what our identity is. So, and I think we've seen that that's been the real issue. We've talked about this a lot when we've talked about friendship, when we've talked about mental health and wellness. So much of it comes down not just to how productive and doing some work that matters, but also in your relationships. So I don't know. What do you guys think about the article? Do you have any concerns of losing your job to AI? And then, I don't know, what do you guys think? What do you think, Matt?
A lot of thoughts.
Okay.
No, I have no concerns about losing my job to AI.
Okay.
Because, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Why should I be concerned about it?
Okay.
It sounds like a waste of time. The other thing is
because you are a robot,
I was just
right?
gonna
Why
say, you
lose
better
your
work
job
on
to a
your-
robot when you are a robot?
You better work on your people skills there, Matthew.
I know. Not even I know what my job description is. So how are you going to feed that into some kind of computer? I do very little around here. I learned a long time ago that if you carry a piece of paper and you walk and you look straight forward,
Yeah.
and you just walk with intention, people think you're doing something. You don't have to be doing anything.
Yeah, you're kind of like George Costanza.
Just show up, get a paycheck,
Phone it in.
shake a few hands,
kiss
tell a
some
few
babies.
jokes.
Yeah.
Kiss a few babies. You're good.
Oh man.
No, I'm not worried because I don't think about it. I mean, that's a waste of time. I think a couple things. One is, when I was in college, all the professors are like, you need to read books to do these papers. And we're just like, why? Like, you can just find the information online.
Right.
It's like every time you introduce new technology, like something becomes obsolete, but then there's new jobs. Like I'm thinking,
Right.
I see Facebook ads for Facebook ads. They're like, they're ads and they'll be like, are your ads aren't doing very well, but if you hire our company, basically, like we know how to write ads that use keywords and SEO optimization, that sort of thing. Well, it's redundant, isn't it? And we can get your ads to reach more people. It's like, think about that. A company that will proofread your online ads. Like that just popped up a couple years ago. And so you have something like this. It's going to make some things more efficient, and then there's going to be another sector that rises up that has to mitigate it or ensure
Yeah.
it or whatever,
We will adapt, certainly.
Yeah.
I think we've done it time and time again. So, yeah.
I think for me, that just means you have to, if it is content, what can you write that can't be written by AI? And that is the vulnerable, more personal connections that you can make through writing or through speaking.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's part of this connection to love and be loved, to experience divine love. And that's what's going to be unique. And so I am thinking about it because, yeah, you're right. It's not like all jobs are going to go away. It's just we're going to have to keep on adapting. And
Yeah.
But this article really brings up that sense of identity and worth. I mean, your job as it is right now might go away. And if you put too much of your identity in how you perform your job right now as it is, and you can't see yourself doing something else, that job is no longer needed, that could be crushing, if you're not willing to adapt and if you have too much of your identity located there.
So that's hard because, I think it's really easy for people to say you are not your work.
Mm-hmm.
And, you have value despite what you do. And as the Christian church, we're like, the unborn have value, the homeless have value, the widows and orphans have value, the poor have as much value as the rich. That's good, and that's true. But as an individual who does work, if I don't do productive things, I don't feel productive, and I don't feel like I'm contributing anything of value.
Right.
And so it's hard for me to look at it and say, oh, I'm just as valuable as someone who works 80 hours a week and is working for a very good cause.
Right.
Like, look at all the people they're helping. I'm doing nothing. Like, how are you supposed to tell me that I have the same value as them? They're making more connections. They're helping more people. They're making an impact where I am not.
Yes. So I think that's the thing that we'll have to keep adapting, that if your work is obsolete and it's not having an impact, it's not helpful, it's not needed, then you do need to adapt. And I think there is some new skills that we'll have to learn so that you have something to offer, so that you do make a contribution. I think the article was more like kind of internal identity. What does it mean to be uniquely human? And that is to love and be loved. But we're going to have to keep learning new skills and have a unique contribution. So I don't know. What do you think, Annie?
Well, one thing that kind of concerns me, with this article, we talk about, it comes down to people and relationships and, empathy and things like that. I saw a TikTok a couple days ago of a guy who kind of tested out like an AI girlfriend kind of thing.
Okay.
And he says, I'm married, I'm stable in my marriage.
I see so many of those ads.
Well,
Those are
right.
creepy.
And so they modeled the AI girlfriend after some famous girl. I don't remember who it was. And he said he feels like this is going to be like a huge problem. So now, instead of actually being human and
Right.
having this capacity to love and be loved and whatnot, now we are simulating it And that is probably the bigger concern to me, is the simulated relationship and the simulated. That to me is where I'm concerned.
I think we have to. Every time we've tried to do this, it hasn't worked out. Anytime you try to cut corners in any area, there's going to be consequences. If you can design, this AI woman to do exactly what you want, no risk, no real need to be vulnerable or whatever, and no need to be a different person and to grow into somebody that's actually, marriage is Tim Keller talked about, like, the best discipleship tool, because you can't stay the same lazy person that you are. Your spouse is going to say, get your act together, and AI is not going to do that. And so, just as much as there's a huge porn epidemic where people are caught in these addictive patterns with pornography, there's no risk, there's no real relationship, and it's dehumanizing real humans. I think that's just going to take it to another level, and I think there's going to be lots of does concern me. It's going to be lots of consequences. Just every time we cut corners. I mean, you think about with food, you cut corners, you're not going to be healthy. You cut corners with relationships, it's not going to make you emotionally healthy. So
I think we've already tried that.
Right.
I think that's what Facebook is. You're not really interacting with the real person.
Right.
But even just conversations that you conduct purely over text.
Yeah.
You're only going to get what that person wants to share when they want to share it.
Right.
So, I've seen a lot of those, like, fake, because, it took the internet about 3 seconds to figure out that I'm a guy. So, like, build a girlfriend, you can customize her.
Oh, my goodness.
And she'll never, like, disagree
Talk
with
back.
you or whatever. And it's like, you can build the perfect woman. Like, what? How does it even work?
Okay, wasn't there a movie, Weird Science, that was based on this back in the 80s?
Maybe, I don't know.
They made a computer girl. It didn't end well. I just remember that. I don't remember the movie. Like, I remember
There's a bit of Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger where he can, like, go in and they can, like, simulate a perfect woman or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just filling. It's like filling it's like a temporary fix. Like,
scary.
it's not. There's no substance there. Right. And then even further, there's I think, was it Bruce Willis sold his likeness to to AI company, some AI company, and with the intent that they would be able to use his likeness after he is passed in movies and things, because I think he's failing mentally, health wise, and but then even more frightening is that after he passes, his loved ones would be able to call him, FaceTime him, and have conversations with him as though he was still alive. Ooh. And I just feel like, death.
Dead people are dead.
Well, that's the thing. Like, death is a part of life. And I guess if you don't have the security about the afterlife, for us, we believe in heaven. Okay. But, like, even if you don't have, reincarnation, something, if you have no hope of the afterlife in any capacity, this is probably why you're going to do something like this, right? Like,
hold on to something,
hold on to this.
Grieve.
But death is a part of life. Like, we can't just, we're creating a reality where it's not, death is death. It's reality. Yeah. Like, why are we not living in reality here?
Yeah.
So to me, that's frightening when we start to simulate, when the robots start to simulate human beings and relationships. That I don't like. Jobs, whatever, we can adapt. Human beings,
Yeah, it's creepy.
I don't like
it.
I
think the consequences will be, so much of the good of relationships is it makes you change. Like, it makes you adapt.
Grow.
It makes you grow, say hard things to people. It makes you take risks. And we're already becoming so risk averse, and we're already making ourselves more weak and scared of reality and kind of. Karen Fisher is a therapist, and she's worked, done seminars and things like that here. And she talks about how this, when you have this fear and then you don't face the fear and you don't respond or you don't take risks, your world becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. And now everything is scary. And so if we don't have that ability to take risks with a conversation, to go up to somebody and talk to them and ask them a question, and our worlds are just going to get smaller and smaller. This is not going to make us a stronger, more durable people. I know with like missionary training, I was just talking to somebody who sends people for year or 2-year stays in like Asia and China. And what they do to train is you put away your phone and you have to drop you in a city you don't know, and you have to go around asking people where everything is. And that freaks out young people right now because they've never had to have those tough, so-called tough conversations of going up to a stranger and talking to them and finding things out. And so I think the more we can turn that into AI, the less we're going to learn to face some of those fears and have those risks. And it's not going to make us stronger. Yeah.
I think we're getting very weak as a species. It's sad.
So back to that article, if what makes us humans our ability to have relationships, to love and be loved, we need to keep focusing on that with real people. That's what makes us human. And to cut that off, it's going to have huge negative effects on our mental wellness and just spiritual wellness. So, yeah. Stay hanging out with people. Take the risk. Talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it seems to me like the people who are the most confident in their faith and who are the most confident in their relationships and in their identity, it seems like those people are usually the ones that have some success and have jobs where they feel like they're making an impact. It's really hard to find people that have that security of identity that are just like struggling and don't work.
Right. I think you do need to have some skills. Like if you don't have any skills to offer the marketplace, I think it's hard to build an understanding of who you are. And that's why I think it could be so important to the recognition that God has given everybody gifts and you have something to offer, and to take the risk, learn a new skill that you can offer as a gift to the marketplace. I think that is a huge part of forming our identity. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that even if they have a job or even if they've been assigned a function by the capitalist Borg that is America, that don't feel like they have a purpose. And I'm thinking of young men. I think I saw a great quote the other day about how we a lot of times we fail young men because we treat young men's depression the same way we treat young women's depression.
Sure.
And when men are depressed, if the therapist just says, "No, you're loved, you have value," that means literally nothing to them.
They want purpose.
Young men want to be told, "Hey, you can do this. Get off your butt and go find some responsibility that you can take up."
Yeah.
And so I guess I just want to approach this like just telling people you have value is true.
Right.
But for a lot of people, it's like you have value, and because you have value and because you are secure, be brave.
Yeah.
And go try something.
Right.
And get off your butt if you are on your butt.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why I think Jordan Peterson has become so well known, is because that's kind of his message. Make your bed, take care of get your act together, do something that telling these young men, how would you ever be attractive to a woman if you can't hold a job?
Yeah.
And
it's okay. They can just get an AI girlfriend.
Well, that's what I mean. Like that is a huge motivator. Yeah. For men to get their act together, if they're going to have a relationship, they got to have their act together.
Yeah.
Well, now they don't have to get a job.
Yeah.
And because they don't have to work hard, because they could just invent their own avatar woman, right? I think
I think there's enough jobs that are very low down on the totem pole or the corporate ladder, whatever you want to call it, that are not at all fulfilling, but are simple and pay the bills. And men are just like, I'll do that. and I can pay my rent. And then, yeah, and either porn or you get an AI girlfriend.
And they don't realize that this is the cause of a lot of their depression or feeling of meaninglessness. And I think it is just very important to take those risks, to gain the skills, to have something, not that that's your central identity, but it's a valid point that we are purpose-driven creatures, and we need to have a purpose.
But those things go hand in hand. The purpose and the identity. Like your purpose isn't just your job, but your identity can't really exist without having a sense of purpose.
Right.
You got to have both. So I guess if you are a Christian young man and you feel like, or a Christian young lady, whoever, if you are a Christian, and you have that security, okay, then hopefully that security will spur you on to try something. Hopefully that it'll at least give you the courage to look for something that you can make into a purpose. And once you have purpose, then you can find more stability or more security.
Yeah.
And you can, but those two things have to build together. I think it's just dangerous when you just tell people you are loved. And it's like, great, I don't feel loved and I don't really care. I feel useless.
Right.
That's
been a big theme of mine over the last few years, especially after I've talked about a lot, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He found out that the Jewish prisoners in the concentration camps would die before they made it to the concentration or before they made the gas chambers if they believed they didn't have purpose. They would just give up. Like, I don't have a name, I'm a number, I don't have a meaningful job, I don't have any hope, and so they would give up. And if he could convince them that even right now they have a will to live, a purpose, and that really ties back to our Christian faith. According to Freud, humans are just animals, evolved animals, and they're only motivated by pleasure or pain, by procreation and food. And if you just give them enough food and you give them enough procreation opportunities, they'll be fine. But Viktor Frankl said, no, you take away all those things, or you give them all those things, but they don't have a sense of purpose, they'll die. And so he there's something about being a human that we have existential questions. Why am I here? What value do I have? What's my purpose? And I think that really points us back to an ultimate God who gave us that desire to search for something bigger. It's not just having a bigger brain. It's a spiritual quality of wanting to know we matter. So, yeah. Well, solve that problem. I don't know, anything else on AI?
No. I think after people listen to this, all of these questions will go away.
I think that's what was so detrimental during the pandemic. As much as it was nice to get the stimulus check, if that stimulus check led you to say, good, now I don't have to work and I can just sit in my room all day, I think there's a reason depression and anxiety went up, as we were not getting out and doing things and actually feeling like we were contributing. We were just getting the money. Yeah. So, all right.
We'll see what happens.
See what happens. Anything else on that?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Later, gang. If you'd like to get a hold of us here at the Climbing Sycamores podcast, feel free to email bsadler@victoryofthelamb.com. bsadler@victoryofthelamb.com. If you like today's intro music, it's been brought to you by Andrew Lynch's song, My Name, Hello.